Most Randy story in the history of Randy stories.
Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Carcajou Tactical and Gray Fox Strategic. For 10% off your next purchase with Gray Fox Strategic, use code DA10.
All right. So this next story that I don't mind sharing happened in a training evolution. So on the Special Operations Assaulter course at that time in 2004, there was a portion of the training that's sometimes referred to as conduct after capture, or a variation of SERE, where you're, in a team function, you're running through the bush, and as the days kind of go on, kit and equipment gets stripped from you. So, rucksack gets taken away, another day goes by, fighting order gets taken away, another day goes by. Teams start to get smaller and smaller as they were basically trying to limit our exposure to having mutual support. I think at the last portion, we were down to teams of 2 with nothing but our radio for communication safety reasons. And then the actual conduct after capture gets kind of started. So I get nabbed. We go through this scenario, and during the scenario, I don't know what hour it was in, but we're into probably 12, 14 hours of resistance to interrogation, conduct after capture, controlled release of information as it's taught. The group that were running this training for us were from the UK at that time. And the situation that unfolded from a lack of emotional control on my part, which then caused me to have to do this portion again in the future. Being interrogated, questioned by the instructors that were doing the job. The gentleman had placed his basically his forehead against mine and his nose against mine as he's pushing into me and screaming at me and asking me questions. I remember my head kind of almost like a compressed spring as I'm getting pushed backwards by his stinky breath and nasty accent and nasty forehead against mine. The moment that he took his head off of mine, you can imagine this coiled spring just decided to let go. So as I launched myself forward from this position, I smashed him with my head. His nose started to bleed, and he obviously lost his marbles and came up one side of me, down the other. But then the point of it, though, is our troop kind of warrant at that time, the guy that's running the course, he grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and pulled me outside, and he's a big, strong dude or whatever. And I'd already been making mistakes up to that point. I'd already been doing things that were not protocol in terms of how we were training and what we're suggested to say or not say. So I was already failing. And that was kind of the icing on the cake, where now emotionally I became a little bit unraveled. I smashed this guy. He's just doing his job, but I gave this guy like an Irish kiss, so to speak, a little pluck on the nose, and then I get dragged outside. At that time, they enabled me and allowed me to finish with the course, and I graduated with the course, which was good, but I significantly failed that portion. So what the agreement was, I would do it again the next year. So the next year, fast forward, a year goes by, get the same training, get a second opportunity to perform a little bit more optimally, and I stayed with what I was supposed to say, did not speak what I was not supposed to speak about, and kept my emotions in control, and everything worked out pretty well. But moral of that story, based on my experience that I'm sharing with you, no matter how tired you might be, no matter how difficult things might be, or no matter how nonchalant of a situation you may think you're in, emotional control is still important. So being able to control what we say and what we do is on us. So nobody told me to headbutt this guy. I just felt like it was the right thing to do at the right time, because I was A, pissed off, and B, I didn't like the fact that this was kind of unfolding. So that's how I dealt with it. Long story short, if you can learn from my mistakes, keep your emotions in check, take a big deep breath, think, and then respond with intelligence.